Hi guys, Mike here. Today we'll talk about setting up your UI as a healer. Specifically, we'll focus on a shaman, but there's just a small specific bit that is going to focus on shamans. The rest of this is just going to be very general. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Now, we're going to talk about add-ons that you should be using. We'll talk about the macros that you should be using. We'll talk about setting up your UI properly. So how to get the Weakauras, ELVUI, and Plater to work together in tandem for this to look nicely. And yeah, that's it. So guys, please remember, if you do enjoy the video, click the subscribe button, like the video, leave me a comment. And also, I do stream on Twitch. There is a link above. I'm really terrible at pointing fingers on camera. It's over there. You can follow me on Twitch, and it's going to be a huge pleasure for me, obviously, to have you following me, coming to the streams. You can chat to me and such. By the way, all the things that you hear about in this video are either available in the description below or in the Discord channel. There is a special sub channel on my Discord. You can click the link in the description to take you there, and you can find all my Weakauras, all my ELVUI settings, all my Plater settings over there. So it's all available in the open. You can just join the Discord channel and grab those for yourselves. Now, let's get started with the video, shall we? By the way, the video is timestamped, so you can actually go and jump between the sections at your own convenience and just pick and choose the piece that you're interested in. So let's just get started. We'll go with the add-ons first. So guys, I know this is a scary list. It's a lot of things, but all of them are useful. So just go from the top. I'll not talk about ELVUI, Weakauras, and Plater in detail because we'll get there later. So just the basics, okay? So those are the 9 add-ons that I do think you should be using as a healer, or basically any other player probably wants to use those add-ons anyway. So those are like the key things that you just need to have to enjoy World of Warcraft in its full. So we'll start with ELVUI, which is this kind of large modification of your basic user interface. It basically just changes it to what you can see right now here. So you have a different layout of things. You have a very nicely modifiable spell bar. You have a lot of things like the frames. You can obviously just kind of manipulate a lot of things around. Very useful stuff. We'll get in depth into this later. But I'm just going to say ELVUI is just really awesome. You can customize so much in it. There's like a lot of settings. You can basically spend hours on doing this, but you don't have to because there are like a lot of readily available profiles. I'm going to provide you with my own as well. So, you know, very good stuff. Like I really love ELVUI. It's kind of so brilliant. Now, moving on though, we have a lot of other things as well. So you have the Weakauras, which is basically a set of the additional stuff that you can import into the game, and that tracks down what is happening on your screen and in your fights. Obviously, very advanced it's kind of a very advanced stuff if you want to create your own Weakaura, but it requires some coding, right? But if you just want to use somebody else's one, I'll tell you how. Really simple stuff again, no worries there. Now we're going to go to Plater as well. Plater is the nameplate add-on, which basically is a bit better than ELVUI. That's why many people prefer to use this. And it actually does a lot of things very nicely. It has like a lot of modability as well, so we'll talk about that later. Very good for Mythic Plus. I do believe Plater is way superior to ELVUI if you go Mythic Plus, because it just has way more potential, way more uses, and it can track way more stuff. Then we have, so Plater is basically just going to show you the nameplates of your opponents. Like I can maybe pick up this Wyvern Seed. There are like nice plates here, fully customizable. I'll talk to you about that later. But then we go to details. Details is a damage meter. You can see that I have 2 meters here. I have the HPS tracker and the damage done tracker. So as you can see, I can just exactly observe what the damage per second was in a boss fight of my characters from the party. So that's me at very pathetic DPS because I was healing a lot, and my DPS players and my tank. And you can also see how much your HPS, how much HPS you've done. Obviously, this is very useful, especially in the raid context, because this actually allows you to compare what spells you're using, how much healing came from them, and such. If you're like 2 players from the same class, you can see exactly what rotations they were doing this went, and you know whether they performed better or not. You can basically learn from that quite a bit. So obviously that's something very important as well to keep track of if you're a healer or a DPS player. Very useful tool. It's kind of, I'd recommend you kind of have 5-6 slots available here. This kind of should satisfy your raiding and dungeon crawling needs, and should tell you a lot, should feed you a lot of data. You can obviously also click this stuff, and I'm just gonna hide all those guideline things, so that you guys can actually see what's going on here. So you can actually click the thing and you can actually see what exactly has been done by. You can compare yourself to your allies by clicking the compare button here. You can actually just drag and drop people if they have the same role and spec. You can track your DPS, you can track your HPS, you can see what targets receive the most healing from you and such. A lot of things that can actually help you and just kind of allow you to improve yourself a little bit if you just are a stats person. So really cool add-on. I do think it's one of the best things. Like this, definitely like the top tracker for DPS, HPS, because it just provides you with best details, probably the most accurate as well. Yeah, really good stuff. I would say use later. There are obviously some other alternatives, such as the ancient recount that I used to run for the past few months, but I just switched to details. I'm not looking back, guys. It's so good. Now, Raider IO is another very big add-on, actually. And Raider IO is going to allow you to track how well your allies are performing. So it's something that you should be probably using to see if you're trying to find a group for Mythic Plus. You can see how exactly you pan out, and against your potential allies if you're trying to form a group, because basically it kind of has this artificial rating that tracks down the progress of your allies through Mythic Plus dungeons and through raids as well, by the way. So it's kind of gonna show you an indicator of where your allies stand, and you can basically allow you to assess whether you should recruit a person or not. So I'm gonna show you this on my friend list. For instance, this guy here. So I chose, like, you can customize Raider IO to a very large extent. There's also a Raider IO website that allows you to track way more stuff than this. There's like a lot of cool stats. I recommend that you go there. But the things that it shows here, for instance, is the score, which is this kind of basically the marker of how well someone is doing in general. It shows you how many timed runs they had, and it shows you their best run altogether in the Mythic Plus adventures that they had. So altogether, you can judge that this player is rather proficient in Mythic Plus. You should probably, if they pop up on your group search, you probably would take them along because they're like rather experienced. Moreover, finally, you also have their raid progress. If you're looking for a raid player to join your group, that probably will be also a good tool to use. So yeah, a lot of good stuff altogether. I would say that's a very nice tool as well. Now, moving forward, we are going to have our man-child / mythic dungeon tools. Again, very solid stuff, but there is a small issue with this. Obviously, our man-child has actually caused some ruckus, and yeah, there are no monster data available anymore because the guy just decided to remove them arbitrarily because he threw a tantrum basically during a world first race which they lost. So yeah, that's basically all there is to say there. Obviously, not gonna comment on the mythic race as it is, but obviously you should be using man-child dungeon tools instead of mythic dungeon tools because those are not paywall. This one, he actually decided to paywall the entire bit. So I would say, obviously you can just bypass this by downloading the man-child dungeon tools available on CurseForge as it is, I believe. So no problem there. Just keep in mind that this is something that might change in the future, right? So what this should be doing is it should be showing the monsters within the entire dungeon, and that's what man-child will be doing. So you can pick the pool order. So if you're a tank, it can actually allow you to organize the entire run. You can track when the prideful is gonna spawn. You can track down, what exact percentage of monsters you need to kill. So you can kind of pick the packs that you'll be doing in the exact order. This will also mark monsters that you're killing. So it will show you what exact monster packs you should be taking down. You can also share this with your group so that everyone knows, so everyone is on the same page as to what is supposed to be done at every single stage. So it's a very good planning tool if you plan on running Mythic Plus 10 and above. Definitely something that you should consider taking along on board. It is just super important altogether as an add-on. So yeah, just enjoy. I hope this one will help you as well. I do think Mythic Dungeon tools are a great add-on, and I hope that the author just reconsiders paywalling this entire piece of excellent software, you could say, right? Then friend groups. Friend groups are very important because they will basically allow you to group your friends. So let me show you what I'm doing here. So generally speaking, your friend list will look like this. So there will be like no groups at all, and it's going to be like a huge steaming mess. And if you want to fix this, you can obviously just download this add-on. It will just add a tag to every single node that you have. You can see like a hashtag and the category. It will categorize those allies based on the nodes, and it will put them into categories. So if you're like a mythic dungeon runner, for instance, very important for you to use this because specifically you'll be able to see what exactly your allies will be doing. So you'll see exactly what allies you should be inviting to your groups and such. And you can kind of keep track of all people that you might want to have in your group in Mythic Plus. You probably will have like a lot of folks that you have invited on your friend list if you're running Mythic Plus and you're kind of trying to look for an organized group or two. That's definitely the thing you should be looking at, because it will just allow you to kind of keep a lot of things in check, basically, right? So that's something you should probably consider using as well. And the rest of those, DBM, there are like basically two choices. You can use DBM or big wings and small wings, I guess. That's the second set of add-ons. They basically do the same thing. They track what is happening in the dungeon, what's happening in your fights, and they tell you what exactly you should be doing, how to react to certain mechanics. Very straightforward stuff. Deadly boss mods will just basically give you a warning, like a sound warning, and a notification on the screen as to what you're supposed to be doing to react. So if you're new to the game, or if you don't know the dungeon perfectly well yet, it will basically just kind of try to teach you a little bit. Also, if you just know the mechanics, it will also warn you about them. So if you are kind of focused on something else, you hear a sound and you know that something is going to happen, so you kind of start reacting to it appropriately. Very useful to use at least one of those warning tools, because it just allows you to play better and to you know, not to mess up too much. So yeah, that's something you should definitely be using as well. Like, anyone should be using either this or the wings mods or the wings add-ons, right? They're like super good as well. Finally, speedy auto loot. Just keeps you, if you're running any sort of a profession, allows you to kind of loot the corpses, or the so if you're skinning, for instance, allows you to lose the corpses sooner. If you're gathering, you just kind of loot automatically all your ore or your herbs, whatever else you might be gathering, right? So it's very useful to kind of have this. It just makes your gameplay a bit easier, a bit smoother. And obviously there are like some other things such as World Quest Tracker that you might want to be using, but they're just not necessarily something that everyone needs. So basically that's going to be it for this part here. We're done with the add-ins, so let's talk about the macros. Okay, macros. Why do you need macros? You access macros by typing /macro on your console, so on your chat, and you'll basically get access to all those little bits of code that you can add to every single spell. And they basically just modify the way in which spells are cast. So it's as simple as that. So it basically allows you to do some things a bit faster, increase your efficiency. So for instance, instead of just clicking your ally, you can just choose for your healing spell to just be cast on hover. So you can just, you know, hover over this guy. You see, I'm not selecting him at all. I've selected myself, or you can select the ghoul. I want to heal this guy. Imagine I want to heal this guy. So just click healing surge. It just goes onto this guy, right? So I have a mouse over macro on my healing spells that just do this. You can also use this on your raid frames or on your dungeon frames on the left hand side if you want to actually target whatever ally is there instead of just kind of clicking them. So it just kind of takes away a single step from the equation, making it a bit easier for you to play. There are like quite a few types of macros, so we'll talk about 3 major types, and like also about like kind of this alternate switch method that you might want to employ, and that's it. So as you can see, creating a macro is very simply just creating. You cannot, there are like add-ons that allow you to import macros, but it's so straightforward, I really don't think that's necessary. So in order to create macro, you say new, you name it something. I would say probably the best idea is to name them after a spell. And once you name them, you don't really have to choose any icon either. So let's say healing surge. You click OK, and you can just basically type in the macro command over there. And we'll just basically, I'll show you what the basic healing spell macro might be. So let's say, I just copy paste the thing I'm using. By the way, all my macros are available in the description of this video and on the Discord as well. So you can just kind of see what I'm doing with them. So we'll type in healing surge here. And we'll click save. It should basically download the icon. You can move this to your tooltip bar. I'm not going to do this because I have my own macro here already. And this will basically allow you to just use your healing surge from now on as a mouse over thing. It has like a lot of conditions there, so we kind of try to unpack this right away. I'll tell you what the macros are, how to use them, and yada, yada, yada. So let's get into the macros themselves. Let's see what exactly those codes mean. You know how to create them, you know how to save them, you know how to drag them onto the cast bar. So all you need to know now is what possibilities you have as a healer. So first of all, you have basically a couple of macro types. So first, the first one here is going to be the offensive spells, and that's going to include, you know, Flame Shock, Lava Burst, Hex, Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt, and also your Interrupt and your Purge. So Wind Shear and Purge also will be very important for you to cast like this. It basically will, if you use this basic command, if you just copy this code into your macro and pick the appropriate spell name, it will just basically cast it on the mouse over target first, and you have no mouse over target, it will cast it on the target. So if you just mouse over anything, it will just try to cast and, you know, click your appropriate hotkey. It will just cast this instantaneously. This is very important for Purge and Wind Shear, and especially High Mythic Plus, because Wind Shear is actually something that it's your interrupt, right? Which you have to just do as soon as possible. You don't have the time to click very often. you take like a half a second that you take to click and press something. So additional like thing that your brain has to parse. And finally, you just fail your interrupt altogether and your entire party might wipe. So it's very important to kind of keep track of this via just, clicking the kind of hovering the nameplates or, just like pre-targeting people. It's very useful to just kind of use this like that. Obviously, the same applies to hex. You can also just kind of, without the necessity of actually clicking something, you can use the lava burst, your flame shock to tag enemies. While you're healing, it just kind of takes away one step from the equation, makes things a bit faster. Now, for healing spells, I'm going to be telling you to use a bit more elaborate of a macro. It basically is going to be a macro that does a few things in an order, right? So first of all, it will cast on mouse over. I suggest you use raid frames or dungeon frames to mouse over things, because it will just kind of, all those things will be just bigger for healing. It will just more readily available, they will be like more readily available as well. So you mouse over a target, it heals them, right? Whatever spells you choose, it starts channeling, whatever. Then if there is no target that is mouse over it, it will actually target the target of your enemy. So that's basically something you can use to instantaneously target a tank in the raid. That's what I use this for. So you usually have two tanks, you have targeted the boss, you're not sure which target you should be healing or pre-healing or sniping with your heals. So this basically will tell you what exactly, it will basically target that target and will heal them. Now you can also just target someone just to click them, and if none of those previous conditions are met, it will just heal that target then. And finally, if nothing is selected, if not mousing over anything either, it will just heal you, and that's it. And obviously just enter your spell name here and you're sorted. Nothing else is needed. Seriously, just don't make a typo and you're gonna be Gucci. And finally, if you have ground targeted skills like totems, like healing rain, right? So some of those totems will actually, such as capacitors, such as earthbind, such as elf grab totem, for instance, spirit link totem as well. They will actually require you to have this particular set of instructions. If you don't want to see the targeting circle, you just want to instantaneously cast them. I do think that the targeting circles have messed up a lot of my runs so far, because they just kind of get in the way. And, there's just additional click that doesn't allow you to do anything else. So I do think that actually just having this, it just snaps to your ground target, just snaps to your mouse. It just kind of automatically casts on your cursor. And it just is really great because it just saves lots of time and effort. It's just, you can actually conceptualize this as, League of Legends smart cast, because that's basically what it is, right? Just kind of cast on cursor automatically without any targeting circles. Makes things very easy. Finally, there's also this very nice, I would say this is for shamans, but I guess every single class will have some variation of this. You can actually bind two spells to the same key depending on whom you're targeting. So Purify Spirit and Purge. Purify Spirit is used to cleanse your allies. Purge is used to cleanse your enemies. And basically, what it does is, if you mouse over your ally, it will purify them. If you mouse over an enemy, it will purge them, and that's it. Right? So very straightforward stuff. It allows you to kind of keep two things on the same button, so it's very handy altogether, and makes your life a bit easier as well. So, and that's basically going to be it for the macros. I don't think that there's much more to be said. Those are the macros I'm using myself, and I'm very happy with this, right? So it's very, very good stuff altogether. And we'll move on to the last bit of the video, which is basically setting up your own personal UI. I'm very hyped for this. So guys, we'll go for 3 steps here. We'll start with the ELVUI, because I guess that's just the biggest thing to unpack. Then we'll move on to Playtime, which is very simple, and then we'll also move into Weakauras, which is again going to be rather complex. So first things first, let's see what exactly we can do with our UI in ELVUI specifically. So you have to go to ELVUI website, which is also linked in the description. And you have to download that package. You can download the automatic updater as well. You can just also download the most recent version. Just kind of keep updating this manually. All the installation instructions are there, so I'm not really gonna bother to tell you what to do. Let's talk about ELVUI and how to kind of manage it though. So you can type /ELVUI. You can also just press escape, and there's gonna be a special button there if you have ELVUI installed. And the most important bit is that you probably want to just download somebody else's profiles. You do this by going to profiles here, clicking import profile, typing in the code, clicking import now, and being happy with yourself. I have my own ELVUI setup. That's all these things that you can see here have been set up by me. Obviously not perfect, as you can see, like some of those transparency issues are still there, for instance. But generally speaking, this is a very solid UI. I'm very happy with it. I'm using this. I'm not going to change it for anything else, because I had like a lot of very big disappointments with other people's setups because they just were not matching what I like. So if you are one of those nerds like me, you probably might want to set up your own ELVUI. But if you're not, you can just use mine or somebody else's. No problem there, you know how to do this. Now you can make certain adjustments, you can move things around. So if you want to move things around, you can just click toggle anchors here, and it will basically just give you a possibility to move every single frame, such as party frames, such as chats, such as your frames over here. And yeah, you can just do whatever you want to with those bits. So you can move your spell bars, you can move your player frame, whatever you want. You can even use a player frame as your HP bar if you want to, like right below character. So all these things work. It's just entirely up to you what you do with them. You can also right click whatever you want to take to go to the menu of that thing and to change the settings. So it's very useful to kind of know this, you know, that you have this ability. Once you're done with moving your things around, you just click lock and you're back to the normal. Now the basic things that you might want to modify, I guess, from my own ELVUI are as follows. So unit frames, you can go to your individual frame, which is going to be modifying this, but you can also go to group frames, select raid or party, and change the width and the height of your frames. You can click display frame to see this kind of basic frame there. That's messy, so let's see the raid frame. I think this one is a bit cleaner. And you can see that my raid frame, for instance, here consists of the debuff that your ally might have, the role of your ally, it consists of the HP status that they have, also colors them by class, which might be important to some of you. And also does actually show their missing HP at the top that's not shown here, and the name at the bottom of the frame. All the important information. Obviously just use the macros that I just talked about to kind of heal those people or whatever else. What I also have here is shit, I did mess up. So you can go to toggle anchors. We also have the empty frames, so main tank frames that will display below, and you can actually also see the tank status, which is very important for a healer as well if you're raiding. So you can actually modify all these things. You can modify the width and height of those boxes. I like them as they are, but you can obviously have different preferences. The other thing that you might not enjoy, but my personal setup, is probably the tooltips. So you can click tooltips, click fonts, change the font to whatever the size you like, whatever the size you enjoy, and that also might be useful to you. And thirdly, probably the action bars are also not optimal for you, so you can obviously adjust the size, the fonts, whatever else on those bars you can say to your own liking. I'm not gonna get in the way. There are like a lot of possibilities here. Obviously you can just get lost in this, but the basic stuff is just very readily available. You can just change what you have there. You can change the fonts of those hotkey descriptions and such. Very straightforward stuff. You can do it whenever you want. Now, those are my key bindings, by the way, so you might actually want to kind of readjust this to your own liking. I usually kind of use 3 rows for every single class I play, and that has proven to be enough. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it for ELVUI, I guess. There is not much more to be said. It's just you experimenting a little bit, maybe taking my frames. By the way, if you're experimenting with my frames and you make like some impactful choice and then you decide to experiment some more, I would say you should always just kind of try to export your existing version of the UI so that you don't lose your backup, because otherwise it just makes it very hairy to recover if you mess up too much, because ELVUI has so many possibilities, so many possible changes that you can make to it that, yeah, you'll just very likely mess up something beyond repair. I did this a few times. I was very mad because, you know, backpedaling on this is usually quite a big effort. You probably don't want to be doing this too often, right? So for me, it was very annoying. I guess it might be annoying for you, so just remember to make backups for your ELVUI altogether. Now let's go to play. So to go to Playter, you type /Playter on your chat, and Playter will basically look like this. Playter is a very advanced UI for you to basically adjust how you see your enemy's health, casts and status. And it is probably the most complicated, but also the most moddable thing in the world. So why I'm using this, I'm actually, again, there's a link in the description that will tell you, no, this is actually, no, the link is in my Discord channel that will show you what exactly you should be doing to get my settings for Playter. I did actually, I'm using someone else's slightly modified setup. So in order to basically import someone else's setup, you just go to your profile, so click import profile and you type in the code. It takes a little bit to load your profile. You can name it obviously something, and you can start using someone else's profile this way. I have my one available on our Discord, so you can just go join Discord and download that from there, no problemo. You can obviously modify things, like I did actually modify the settings of the bars, especially my personal bar, because I did think that mine was a kind of, I do like to have like this list like small HP and mana bar below my character. I did kind of make those adjustments to this, and I can see it now. It's kind of good. I like it, so I'm not going to be complaining about this too much. And guys, playthrough is really straightforward. Other than that, like, you can obviously just kind of delve deep into every single setting here. You can add some mods and such, but the setup I do have here is, I guess, optimal for me. I don't really have anything as I would like to have on this particular frame. So yeah, just use that, or just kind of, you know, browse the web. Obviously, there are like so many playthrough profiles for raiders, for Mythic Plus players as well. So whatever floats your boat, man, just use it. You'll be happy. Playthrough actually doesn't have that many issues with clamping nameplates as well. I did actually encounter this with ELVUI. This was completely gone for me with Playthrough. So I'd say probably use Playthrough to eliminate that problem altogether, and you'll be a happy man. And that's basically that for Playthrough. Let's move on to the most complex bit, which is gonna be Weakauras. And Weakauras are the least user-friendly bit that I'm going to talk about today. So, to go to Weakauras, you type /WA, and it takes you to this wonderful freaky interface that makes you want to hang yourself. But basically what it contains is a couple of Weakaura groups that you can just use in order to customize your UI a bit further. What I'm using this personally for is tracking a lot of important cooldowns. As a shaman, I'm keeping track of a few particular spells. But you can actually just kind of basically reformulate your entire UI using Weakauras and just kind of get rid of this entire bit of interface. If you remember your hotkeys, you can just kind of keep track of important cooldowns on the Weakaura panel and also enjoy your life. But I would say, like, if you're a new player, I'd avoid doing this, because generally speaking, you just kind of want to keep track of every single key you have and every single spell that you believe is valuable. I'm gonna just say probably you should be using those cast bars, those spell bars, and not just the Weakauras that people are suggesting. So obviously this kind of clutters your screen a little bit, but again, Weakauras do as well. So pick your poison, man, pick your poison. Now the idea here is that I'm using very specific Weakauras from my own character, because I'm a shaman, so I need to keep track of a few things. So sorry all the other healers that are watching this, but I'm gonna talk specifically about shamans now. So we have the Earth Shield, which is something you should always keep available on your tank. So if if it kind of is removed from the tank, you should always put it back on them, because basically this adds a lot to the healing that they receive from you, and also improves like basically like every single time they get hit, they get a little bit of healing as well. So it's very important to use the Earth Shield on the tank and keep it on them all the time. So I have this nice little Weakaura to remind me when I'm being a monkey to stop being one. And then you have the Water Shield Weakaura again. You can basically, by the way, in order to import a Weakaura, just kind of click import, type in the code, click accept, you're done. You can obviously create your own Weakaura groups if you want to kind of move those into your specific panels, so you can kind of move those things around. Now, I'm also tracking a lot of my abilities, as you can see. So we have the legendary here, so the core, we have the Riptide, we have the Primordial Wave, we have the Totem, and also either our ability called Fleshcraft, which I always keep forgetting the name of, or Healing Rain, which is used for raids. So either of those is going to be visible in here, depending on the situation. This is all regulated by load settings, by the way. We'll talk about this in a second. And then finally, we have, so basically all those panels will be telling me what exactly my cooldowns are, when those spells go off cooldown and such. If I use my Primordial Wave, for instance, you can see this little ticker appears, so it shows me how long I can use my buff that I have received from this week, from this ability for. And once I do this, it just kind of shows me the cooldown. It goes gray. Now, I do also track my Riptide, as you can see. So this shows me it is green when I can use it. It's not green when I can't. So it kind of, this alone just tells me what exactly I should be keeping track of this. And again, my Cloudburst shows me how much healing I have gathered, and how long this thing is going to stay around for. It allows me to plan my Ascendance to use this, for instance. A very bad idea to use Ascendance when the totem expires, because then you just kind of don't get the maximum use of it, right? So it's kind of good for planning things as well. And obviously I keep forgetting of Fleshcraft, so I'm just kind of gonna keep it here. for the dungeons, whereas in the raids it's actually going to be replaced by the healing rain. And Weakauras are rather simple to use actually. You can just go to /WA, you can click your Weakaura here, and you can see how exactly it's going to be loaded. That's the only thing that you really need to care about, because all the other things are just going to be kind of provided for you by the creators. Obviously, you can also change the display, you can kind of manipulate the size of those Weakauras. We're not going to do this because I don't want to mess up my own UI, but you can just kind of drag them, drop them, move them around like up and down. That's all up to you. And you can move them within the groups as well. So if you have like a group of Weakauras, you can move them inside. So that's all very useful. Load settings, however, show you where exactly what prerequisites you need to be met for this Weakaura to load. So for instance, you know, the class will usually be the thing. Usually Weakauras come with the prerequisites already specified, but if it doesn't load for you, if like one of the Weakauras doesn't load for you actually, you can change those settings and be happy about this. So for instance, we're also, like as a guild, we're also using Weakauras for bosses. So for instance, we have the Council of Blood. This is, I believe, the Weakaura done by Method. I think that's Method. And it shows you a lot of things that you should keep track of in the Council of Blood fight on normal, heroic, and mythic. So it shows you all the mechanics, warns you about them, and, you know, tells you what exactly you should be doing as a player. The thing about this Weakaura was it wouldn't load for us because they were it was actually just kind of, it only had the mythic specified here. So you can actually extend this to heroic, mythic, normal if you want to kind of see this in every single instance. We did have the same thing for the F splitting shriek from mythic, where we just wanted to kind of know how much time we have to hide until the next shriek would come and obliterate us. So again, very useful thing to kind of keep track of if you're healing as well, if you're playing the game all together. Weakauras just have endless potential, right? You can modify your UI in a lot of wonderful ways. Again, Wago UI is a great source of those, so you can just kind of get them. Also, my packages, again, available. So all my Weakauras available on my Discord. So you can just go to Discord, go to the appropriate channel on the Discord. So it's Weakauras channel, basically. Weakauras AddOns and macros channel. And you can just go there, click it, you know, copy, paste my Weakauras and start using them if you want to. That's basically my offer to you guys. And you know what? That's basically it for the Weakauras. I guess there's nothing else to say. And I just gonna tell you one more thing before we continue, before we kind of conclude the video. You can basically adapt those. You can just go to Wago UI, find the useful things that you want to keep track of as a priest, as a paladin, as whatever other class you might be, and just put them on your screen like this. That's not a problem at all. I could do this, so can you. I'm really not a coder. So yeah, that's basically a little bit of meddling. It can actually improve your play to a huge extent. So for instance, for a shaman, in a raid context, keeping up your healing rain and keeping up your cloudburst totem are the two massive things. You should always just keep both of those up at all possible times. And Weakauras just help me do this. You know, it just improves your healing per second. It allows you to focus on other things, just kind of not constantly looking at those cooldowns. You just look for the glow and you're happy about yourself, right? So that's very important, I believe. So it will just obviously allow you to apply those in, you know, just kind of to improve yourself a little bit. And guys, that's gonna be it for Weakauras, I guess. Guys, thank you for watching. That's it. Please remember, if you did enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, tell me what you think about this in the comments. I also do stream on Twitch. There is a link there. It's gonna get progressively bigger as I select it. No, it's not gonna get bigger. But basically, yeah, here. You can also go to that link. It's available in the description. Follow me there. It's gonna help me a lot. And also you can just see me play in Mythic Plus and Raids. So that probably should be kind of a nice trade-off for you guys. Going from there though, you can also click the join button below. This basically allows you to donate $3 per month to my channel. And it works like a Twitch sub basically. You support me, I support you to some extent with awesome content. You know, I'm doing this for free right now, so I guess you guys will help me a bit if you want to. And I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank all my current YouTube members, so Cherry Joseph, Dan Bigelow, Scott, Dino, Russian Tanker, and Zapin. You guys are amazing. Thank you for doing this. Also to all of you people who did actually donate to my channel, huge kudos to all of you guys. You're absolutely magnificent creatures. And I probably wouldn't be streaming and producing content had it not been for you. So this being said, guys, see you around for later streams as well. I hope you did enjoy this one. And yeah, stay healthy and stay safe. Bye bye.